Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Midweek Market Update live stream from Smack the Markets for the 2nd of December. Morning, Michael. Hi, Gordon. So, interesting times at the moment. Let's just go through the usual housekeeping. So we've got the risk disclaimer here. Please make sure that you're comfortable with the terms. We're not licensed to be able to give advice on the markets, and these sessions and markets and opportunities that we discussed are purely for training and illustrative purposes only. So please make sure that you're comfortable with all of these terms before continuing on the session today. So today we've got quite an interesting sort of backdrop. UK vaccine has been approved, or UK have approved a vaccine, I should say. So we've got that going on in the background. That did initially have a little uptick in Great British Pound. I think I picked up that news about 7 o'clock this morning. Since then, Mr. Barnier has sort of mentioned about an hour later that he made a comment about trade negotiations, and the UK or Great British Pound has now switched over to being one of the weaker currencies today since that announcement. Of course, later on today, we've got Mr. Powell speaking. He's always likely to have an impact on the markets. We've also got the ADP employment numbers as well. So sort of interesting times. Hi, Martin. Hi, both Martins. Hey, Fergal. We got Fergal in as well. Now, Fergal's also going to be keeping an ear out on the news wires. I've got my news feeds muted so that we don't get disturbed on the session. So he's going to feed us with any sort of up-to-date news that we hear on those sort of vaccines, US stimulus talks, or anything else that's sort of going on at the moment. Morning, Miles. Morning, Godfred. Right. So let's take a look. I mean, I've been going through the markets this morning, and initially I thought things might be a bit exciting. Then I thought we might start to see things might be a bit more challenging, and now I'm starting to see a few sort of opportunities starting to develop here. So, a few things sort of happening. If we just look at the strengths and weaknesses, I mean, as Fergal mentioned this morning in the prep, the strengths and weaknesses have been flipping around this morning as markets have been settling down. We've got the US dollar. We've got some strength in the US dollar this morning, but that's only in the context of a short trend. The market's very weak, and we're just seeing a bit of a retracement there. So dollar strength is, again, there's a few sort of opportunities I think we can have a look at there to take advantage of that, but that's looking at sort of trading against the overall tide at the moment. Whereas the Aussie, which is the other market that I'm seeing with overall strength this morning, is a market that's strong in the context of strong overall long trends. So the trends are broadly in line with the strength of that market. So we'll have a look at some of those sort of themes. I think it's probably going to be some of the better opportunities. If we just take a quick look at the markets that we discussed on Monday's newsletter and how those have fared. So we've got the US, the Dow, first of all. Now, we discussed on Monday, if I open this up on the daily, the market was, let me just zoom into this, I think probably a bit easier. This level in here at 29,600 was where the market was back on Monday. So if we come back to this sort of area here, this is where we were on Monday. And we're looking at sort of potential support here on Monday. We said if this area here could find support and the market could move above this, we're likely to get another run and maybe another sort of test to the high side. And I thought even if we were looking at a reversal here in, and I say even if we were looking at a reversal, I thought we might start to get a bit of another attempt back towards that 30,000 level, and that's exactly what we've had happen so far this week. So the market did find support here. It's now ran up to the 30,000 level. It's pretty much hit that 30,000 on the nose, and now it's rolled back over to 29,600. So where now? I mean, the Dow is looking, the longer this sort of consolidation goes on, the longer it's likely to struggling to get through 30 again, the more weaker this market is looking. Having said that, we'll have a look at the other stock markets, the S&Ps and the Nasdaq in a moment. Those are looking a little bit more on the sort of more positive side. But I think from a perspective here, we've got technical perspective, we've got 29,600, which is the key support underneath the market at the moment. If that level gets taken out, then we're likely to see some more significant weakness coming into the Dow. If we can get a break above that 30,000 level, then we're going to see a bit of free space coming, and we are literally into an open-ended air pocket there, and I think we could see some buying coming on. Now that's obviously very easy to say that, but I think that's really pretty much where we are with this. From a technical perspective, I think this market looks more weaker. We've got divergence or convergence, I should say, to the short side. This market is looking more weaker technically to me. We're coming into a period of time where, from a fundamental perspective, from a news flow perspective, there could be enough reasons to give this a bit of a kick up the bum to break out, even if it's for a temporary period of time through December. So just remember that we've got vaccines at the moment are going through authorization, and once those sort of get cleared, we're likely to see a bit of an uptick in markets, and the US are a little bit behind the curve on this, and so those are yet to come. And when they do come, that could give these markets a lift. Remember what happened back here when we had this huge spike when we first heard about the Pfizer vaccine going in or being developed. So remember what it did to the market then. So that's what I'm just sort of a bit more cautious about, calling this a top now, and looking at this. This may well continue to be sort of volatile going into the end of the year, and we may well sort of set up a theme going into next year. Now, if we have a look at this on the S&Ps, you can see where we are on the S&Ps. The market's actually sort of back into an interesting level. And I think this, in the trading room, we should keep this on the watch list, because even though these markets are up to highs, now the S&Ps and the Nasdaq are looking much more stronger than the Dow. You can see here that back in the 4 hour, we're back into that zone there, and quite a nice sort of tight sort of setup there, maybe developing on the S&P 500. And if we have a look at the Nasdaq, you can see that we've got the same scenario here on the Nasdaq as well. So this is the 4 hour chart, and you can see that we've got that sort of setup developing there on the 4 hour too. So those are some of the markets there that we'll be keeping an eye on in the trading room. Okay, we also looked at gold. Now, let's have a look at gold. And what we were looking for on gold was the market had broken through some significant levels, and we looked at the next sort of trading window, which was going to take us down to around that 1750 price point. Now, since then, what's happened is we haven't really quite hit that sort of 1750 price point. We've got a bit of a retracement coming into the market at the moment, and I thought we might start to see, well, we've got a level on our charts around 18,183 130, which is just around where the market is at the moment. It coincides with the moving averages here too. I thought we might start to see a bit of resistance coming in, but there is also another level just in here, and if we just mark that in a little bit tighter, we can see 1850 on gold. There is key support in the past, certainly from all of this consolidation, and it ties in with the moving average geometry zone as well. So a pullback into this area of resistance, we certainly want to be looking here to see if there is any evidence of weakness. And then we may even if we can get if we see maybe a bounce here to the short side, maybe not even a new low, but if we do see a bounce, there could be enough for a number of targets before even the market sort of turns around. So again, liking this at the moment to the short side. I think gold is looking a little bit better than the silver market at the moment, but again, we've got a little bit to go before we get up into that sort of resistance area. Hi, Edgar. It has been a while. Hope you're doing well. So, what else have we got here? Now, also, Monday, we discussed a couple of Kiwi markets, didn't we? So let's just go to these Kiwis. So we said Kiwi Dollar, which in fact was one of the nicest trends that we had out there. So we got Kiwi Dollar here. We were looking on Monday on this 4-hour time frame where we've got the sort of optimal trends, I think. Let me just try and sort of zoom that up a bit. Here we go. So we got the pullback here into the moving averages on Monday, and the setup here, which actually occurred for me about 2 o'clock at night, so I didn't actually manage to capture this this setup. I know some of you did in the trading room, and we got a move to the long side. Having said that, Kiwi has been one of the strongest markets for a while now. Now today it's not one of the strongest, but it is in the context of strength. So again, we can start to see some overall strength in this market. We also looked at the Kiwi Cad, which is also not quite as clean, but we also had a continuation on with Kiwi Cad 2. So let's come back and take a look at a couple of others now. So we said some of those common themes were that that around that US dollar. So I was looking here, if we just have a look at how we might be able to use that to our advantage here. Let's mark in a level there on the euro around that sort of 120 area. Okay, so that's close enough. So we can see our 120 level in here. That's the takes in these previous highs where the market sort of found resistance before. That sudden weakness that we had blowing through with the dollar yesterday and overnight has pushed the euro higher. It's looking quite extended now on the daily time frame, and you know, for technical traders, we like to see some sort of retracement, and many traders look for positioning around value areas, and we can see that that sort of fair value area sits back nicely into that sort of 120 area at the moment, particularly on the 4-hour time frame. Coming back into that sort of level could be a nice area to start to looking for potential turning points and a higher low. Remember, if we start to see maybe if we've what sort of fib study we've got going on here, the 120 level overlays exactly a 50% retracement of that last leg of the trend as well. So a number of things going on there at 120. The euro at the moment, well, we've got some two-star euro news at 10 o'clock today. It's not particularly sort of strong at the moment, the euro, but what we might see is with that strength in the dollar coming, that retracement in the dollar could see us with a weakness here in the euro, pushing euro dollar down back into around that sort of area. And then if we see continued weakness in the dollar, which we're likely to, because that's in a short trend anyway, a very strong short trend, then that continued weakness may well help the euro to continue its trend. So that's my sort of thinking here. That's why I'm thinking I'd rather like that 120 area there on the euro. Let's come back to, so I've got a few Aussie markets which we'll take a look at. But before that, I think let's just have a quick look at oil here as well. Now, we had some very nice trades on oil, didn't we? Last week at about 5-1 when we took this run up here. The market has since then, well, it achieved our overall target. It's now sort of coming back. And if we notice this on the daily time frame, we've now got that nice sort of bullish candle. Markets pull back into support. Here you can see these previous highs. It's now sort of pulled back into support, and starting to find support in here around that sort of 44.50 sort of area. So on the daily, the 44.50 is on the future market. We've got what 47.150 on the cash. So coming back into this, looking sort of quite nice. Let me just, that's Brent. Let's have a look at our numbers. Will be a bit more tidier now, won't they? If we have a look at West Texas. Here we go. So very high, very correlated anyway between the two, between Brent and West Texas. But this is the US oil. You can see again we got that sort of support back into the previous highs, and it was on this contract that we took the trade last week. Coming back into this area, we've got potential area here where we could start to look at positioning as well. So looking at potential sort of turning around point on here. Now, one of the things that we can see on the 15-minute chart, if we come down to the 15, you can see the bounce around here. I can tell you around where the market is at the moment, just around here, we've got double pivot points at the moment as well, as the market's just coming into. So again, if we see maybe be better to get above that double pivot point, and there's a bit of support in there as well, as you can see, previous support and resistance. So waiting for the market to break through that, get a pull back to it. So we're coming back to sort of more or less where the market is at the moment, and then finding support off there could start to look, give us some opportunities more towards the long side on oil. Now, oil from a technical perspective is certainly starting to look much more bullish. The things that we've got to be aware of, though, of course, with oil is those OPEC meetings going on, those OPEC plus discussions. So on the back of that, though, it's very unlikely that OPEC are going to do anything that is going to potentially weaken oil prices. They've already mentioned many times in the past sort of 6 months that they are very supportive of oil prices, even warning traders not to trade the market short and go against put pressure on the prices short. So again, we got that little bit of support there. So liking this perhaps again as a commodity to the long side. Okay, so let's come back and take a look at some of those Aussie markets now. So as far as I'm aware, Gordon, asking if the OPEC meeting's finished, as far as I'm aware, it was scheduled to finish, and then they went back to the drawing board, didn't they? And I believe I can't remember the reason why, but they've that it's still in, as far as I'm aware, it's still in negotiations, it's still in discussions. But I believe it was supposed to be finished yesterday. So Fergal, if you see anything on the news feed about that, then again, just let me know. So let's come back, and again, as I'm looking at those sort of general themes this morning, the Aussies, I think, again, we've got strength in the Aussie today, and these Aussie markets are have got some lovely strength in them. And again, if we look at a couple of these, so we mentioned the Aussie Cad earlier. Now on the daily time frame, I've got here we can see that, let me just pull this back a bit. So again, you can see that the market has pulled back into a level through here of key support and resistance on the daily, and the daily trend isn't looking too bad at all. So we've got that support in here just above that 95 area, so around 95.20 coming into these lows. Again, moving average is starting to come into the right order, and we've got the convergence on the indicators as well. So if the daily is finding support, and if it does find support around this price point, bearing in mind the trend here, this is a nice place for a higher low to be formed, then we could be looking again for higher prices in Aussie CAD. So again, if we start to come down the time frames, you can start to see that we're starting to get some evidence here of support. And again, on those lower time frames, again, if we start to see this continue, then we're going to start to see some potential sort of intraday opportunities on the Aussie CAD. Similar, again, I had the Aussie against the Kiwi. So let's have a look at Aussie against the Kiwi. So no agreement yet. So Fergal says there's no agreement yet on the OPEC deal. So it's still in play at the moment, which may be why we're getting those small candles forming in oil, which always looking interesting. So here on Aussie Kiwi, you can see that markets had, well, we can see the general direction here very clear, and this is across most of those timeframes. We've seen the Kiwis and the Aussies really sort of benefiting from some of the cleaner trends, I think, at the moment. So this particular market, I was looking at a retracement here, and you can see that we've got retracement starting to form as we've got strength in the Aussie today, and the Kiwi is not so strong. And normally the Kiwi has been quite strong for a while. We've got a level in here around these lows. So we've certainly got a bit of support and resistance, and it's an area where we may well start to see some sort of some sort of potential sort of turning point. Again, if we run a fib study into here, you'll see that again, if I just zoom this up, you'll see that taking in the current leg of the trend and the current leg of the move, that level ties in very nicely with a 50% retracement of the that last move. So in the market here, with that strength on the Aussie and that pause in the Kiwi, is allowing this to pull back. So it could be nice area. It's also back into the moving averages as well. So again, that's an area where we can start to look for potential sort of weakness and potential turning points for a short Aussie play. And similar, out of these, I saw the Euro Aussie again. So I want to come back to the daily time frame on this one, and if we take a look at this market, just where my sort of, maybe I'll mark a level in there. You can see that on the daily we've got support and resistance around this sort of level here. Market's not far off that sort of price point at the moment. We've also got key support underneath price. We can see the market's tested this multiple times, and now we've got to continue bouncing off it. If the market can't get through this to the short side, then there is only sort of one other way it's likely to go. And we can see that we've got a breakout to the long side at the moment. The weakness in the euro today is allowing this to pull back, and we're potentially coming into an area of support. So again, if we come down to the 4-hour time frame, we can start to see things looking a little bit neater here. So again, it's a little bit like the euro dollar, where you've got another opportunity here to play half that currency pair, but also play it against the Aussie in this example. So again, supporting here, coming back into those moving averages. This could be an area where we start to look for again, a potential sort of setup. We've got some good convergence here on the indicators as well. So again, another one looking sort of fairly good to keep on the watch list this morning. So what others have we got? So anything else that now that had a quick run through the pick of my watch list this morning? If you've got markets that you'd like to take a look at, then drop them into the questions box and we'll take a look at those. I was looking at Cad Yen this morning. I think Fergal, you mentioned Cad Yen on the morning prep, I think, didn't you? I think it must be your orders in there that's yeah, I can see you're at it again, aren't you? It's moving on very nicely. So again, Cad Yen's another one that I'm sort of looking at. I think Fergal mentioned this on the morning prep this morning. Again, we've sort of broken out and sort of turned around from a macro perspective. Even if you start to come up to these higher time frames now, we're starting to get higher lows in here. Trend's looking good. Yeah, so it's Cad Yen and Aussie Yen, wasn't it? Yeah, I thought Cad Yen was the best one out of the two. or I just thought that we had that setup occurring here on the 15. I didn't capture this myself because I was preparing for this event, but I was close. How did that Aussie play out? So the Aussie's actually played out as well, hasn't it? Who mentioned Aussie? I think it was you, Miles, wasn't it? I think you mentioned. Was it you who mentioned Aussie Yen? I think someone mentioned Aussie Yen in the trading room this morning. Looking again. So I think some of those yens looking good as well. We can keep an eye on those on the watch list too. I'm wondering what the in the whole scheme of things, what the Kiwi Yen is like as well, because that's been particularly good too. Yeah, so the Kiwi Yen as well, we're getting some fairly decent structure on this too. So I think keep some of these yens on. The Aussie, the Kiwi, the Caddy there, those three I think are looking some of the cleanest out there. Let me just have a look at all of them. Okay, so they're all moving. The reason why I say these ones is because the Aussie, the Kiwi, and the Caddy is because they fall in line with the longer term trends on these markets as well. So that's the reasoning, and always better to be trading in direction with the longer term trends. So yeah, Michael, I agree with you. I was just actually coming to the Kiwi Swiss just to see how we're looking on this one, because the overall trend on this again is still looking particularly nice to the long side, in line with the Kiwi strength. And sometimes these days where we get the softening of the market, gives us an opportunity to be able to sort of capture a pullback. So if we have a look at the 4 hour, let's just mark in our levels here. Looking particularly nice. So we're finding support, maybe getting a next leg here of the market higher. Okay, so if we come down to the 15, we haven't really got the moving averages and the trends looking good on the lower time frames yet. But I think probably here, if we start to get above these levels here, above these highs on the 15, then we're going to have higher highs and higher lows. Indicators looking good. We'll have the moving averages there back into the right order as well. So we'll actually got the right ingredients here for a potential sort of setup if we just need to look for a setup on there at that time. So that's starting to look good. And of course, those that Kiwi dollar as well. So at the moment, the dollar has been that strength in the dollar has pushed everything back. So we've had that sort of pushback that we can see there in the that we can see here, and now again the retracement again. So it's coming back to the 60-minute chart, for example. We can start to see support in here too. So looking nice, looking nice. Again, we just need to find a nice sort of entry on this. But I think we keep those Kiwis on there, keep some of those Aussies, some of those Yens, and we've got a half decent watch list this morning, I think. So let me just take a look at the quick scan through. Thanks, Fergal. So we've just got an update from Fergal on the OPEC discussions. So they've rescheduled to tomorrow, and there's more talks that are needed. So it's still in play. It'll be nice to get another big trade in oil if that materializes. Super. Okay. So let's start to wrap it up. We've been over our time slot as usual again. So I certainly hope it's been useful to everybody. If you enjoy these events, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. If you don't subscribe, then you'll get all of the notifications when we schedule these events. And I certainly look forward to speaking to you next time. Marvelous. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'll speak to you back in the trading room. Bye for now.